Now that is something we highlighted here in this channel, and right now we can see that it just materialized. The first candle, you got that. From the bear segment, the market just pushed off towards the bullish side of it. Now, what else is there? We actually talked about this scenario, right? A V-shaped recovery, and we used an asset injective, ING. And if you are looking at that asset in the right time, you actually see that popped with V-shaped recovery. Now, what else is important? Look at this. While we described about that asset, we told this is the resistance which we are looking at, 4.26. Right now, the price came to that range, 4.28, and it slowed down. For the day, you're getting a V-shaped recovery, so you're going to look for a lot happening in the market. And it's not just in one or two assets you're seeing this. Right now, this is known as the V-shaped recovery, because when we talked about that possibility, not a lot of people listened and not a lot of people agreed. But right now we are watching that the market is doing that. So for XRP, there is something which is really important, because I think this sector is playing out as it should be. The payments, right? XRP, XLM, that kind of grouped correlated coins are going to work out in this way. We'll actually go through that and explain what we are looking forward to in such a scenario, but it's really important for you to understand what we discussed about the Bitcoin dominance. And that's also materializing, right? We talked about these two double bottoms and the possible breakout. Now, within the last 24 hours, we observed that we broke higher. We are coming to the upside. And on the other aisle, what you have to keep in mind is that dollar broke through this level. Great. Now it's going to come back up, retest this range, which means crypto market may have a short-term dip. So don't get confused with a short-term correction towards a bearish signal. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, yes, the market is volatile, but we do have to keep in mind, they say crypto is volatile, but the banking segment is also the same. There is no difference. This is the bank dropping 85%. And this is not SVB, right? So that's what's happening in the market. They say crypto is a scam. And look at this. These guys are buying for a pound. Now I'm like, you buy a bank for a pound? Wow. So these kind of offers are not valid for us, only for them, because they do these kind of crazy things and the market drops like a stone. Now, we go back into the crypto market. Say first we'll look at the XRP chart. Right now, there's a little bit of difference the way I explain and the textbook pattern. In the textbook pattern, what happens is they look for the resistance, right? What I've done is support resistance zone, a support which turned into a resistance, which is again valid as a support. That's a support resistance zone. That's what we usually do, right? And that works. So again, we are following that and we get the same creek here. You go up, you come down, you bounce, you go down. That's what's happening here. So if that is true, that means either it can be a reaccumulation or it's an accumulation phase before you start bursting higher. And I'm like, okay, this really looks good. You came down, you changed the trend, you went into an accumulation mode, and we are still here. We didn't break to the upside, right? So on the short term, yes, you're not talking about a literal heavy, huge blast off for XRP. But once you actually look at the macro, you can say, yeah, short term, we are looking for this. Now, don't be confused. I'm not saying this is the top for the market cycle. I'm saying there's going to be the next big impulse. Now, what does that mean? If wave 1 is a 10x here, wave 2 is 3 to... Now, in textbook, it's 2 to 3x. But in crypto, we have observed clearly 3 to 5x as an average. And some coins doing, massive 20x. We have seen that, right? All over in medium caps. So let's be conservative here and say, okay, this is going to be the next impulse. So what would Bitcoin and the entire crypto market do at that time? What should you keep your benchmark on? If it's me, I would look at Bitcoin and I would say, okay, most likely we're actually getting this bullish creative pattern here, which shows that the market is going to go higher. We may start getting resisted close to 30,000, where people would start taking profits, slow down, that kind of thing. That actually runs all the way up to 35,000. So 29, 30, 31, 32 is going to be a profit-taking range for a lot of short-term trades, and people would step back to see what the macro narrative is showing us. And if we actually happen to get, literally, think about this. If we happen to get something like this, 3 candles, boom, blasting through those levels, that's FOMO. You will observe the market going into FOMO, right? We have seen assets doing this, but what's more interesting is to go on to the same asset, which is, popping in the short term, and go look at the macro. This is where you are in that particular asset. So macro, that's one of the reasons why we usually focus on macro direction and then move on to the short term and take the same direction as the macro, right? Here, this is simple. We all know this pattern. We have all seen this pattern. It's a double bottom, or W, which is for win in crypto market or any market where you're doing the technical analysis. For us, crypto. Then if you are a pattern or trend line guy, you would say like, okay, the trend line was running like this. We broke that to the upside. That's bullish. Fine. And if I'm looking for the pattern, I would say, okay, this is the pattern which I'm observing, where the measured move for this particular pattern would be close to 400%. Right? Now you get the idea. Whether you are a pattern guy, trend guy, you now look for different signals in the market, and that kind of helps. I mean, it helps a lot, right? Now, if that is true, then when you're here on Bitcoin and you're observing Bitcoin on a weekly saying, okay, we are getting a hammer pattern which is moving back up, what are we looking for the short run? We just got these 2 candles to the upside. So saying now we are going to get another candle directly to the 29,000 on a daily can be naive, right? Because we know there is some resistance here. Now, if it happens, that's great for all of our trades, including my trades. But what I'm trying to illustrate is we got resisted in this range a couple of times. So when we are going up, either it's going to be a squeeze and bears are going to get slaughtered. And while we were here, that's the truth. While we were here, we talked about how the bears are going to get slaughtered. And right now we just saw how that happened in the market. Now, once we know that this is going to be a resistance level and people are going to take some profits, what we should be looking at is for different range of supports. So if we plot that level of support, we can say, okay, this was a support resistance zone, so I expect that to hold. Now that's close to 23,000. But yet again, we have another level which is key. We broke that level too. Now, why am I suggesting these 2 levels? Because the price action right now is trending higher. What do I mean by that? Look at this. On a short-term narrative, when you are looking at this, it kind of shows you we had a strong trend line. We broke that one. We retested that one and bounced. It's not a small bounce, it's a huge bullish candle, a shaved bullish candle which went all the way up. Remember, starting from this bounce, 22 ended up at 24,500, $2,500 candle, which is a 4-hour candle. So imagine the level of bullishness coming into the market. Watch the volume. The volume just went sky high. That is really important to understand. And right now, price consolidating this level, like 2 options. One, the price come back down to the moving average, which would be close to 23,300, 23,500. That's a great news. That's going to create a ton of opportunities in the altcoins if you know the right coins. Then, if it's consolidating in this range with the bottom, which is going to be created close to 23,700, that means bulls are so strong whenever the price is dropping, people are jumping into this asset. And right now we know the macro reason. Banks are failing left and right in the US. That's getting impacted in the UK, Australia. Now, we really don't know what's happening in Canada, but we do know that that institution was here and we had companies banking with them. We don't have the clarity of what the hell is actually going on, but we are going to get the news. But one thing is for sure, banks are dropping and the crypto market is going up. So people are thinking like, okay, crypto came out of the 2008 financial crisis. So there was a reason why this was built. Decentralized money, where you really don't trust the banking system, which is built on top of a fractional reserve banking ideology. So right now here we are looking at how things are evolving in this particular market. Now, if that's Bitcoin, now you can literally go on to any different asset which you really want to look at and look at the volatility. It's highly volatile. No one here is arguing that this market is not volatile, but so does the banking industry, which is kind of the traditional conservative stuff. So here, what's different? Money is starting to come back and pour into this segment. While you also look at the technical side of it, you get to see this as a range, which the price action just broke. And at the resistance range of it, this is interesting. At the resistance range, you just had a bullish engulfing candle directly blasting through the resistance. That really is important. Now, what's happening on that short-term narrative? You're literally observing the ultra short-term, the moving average, is crossing the next one. It went bullish. The price corrected. Now we are going back up to cross another one to the upside. So I personally think there can be a retest of this support and then a bounce, which is going to be healthy. Now that's on a 4-hour chart. That's zoomed in view, short-term volatility, what we are talking about. So if you zoom out, now you would say like, okay, we came back to a macro support, which happens to be the 200-day moving average, and we bounced off from that. Remember, the bear market was like you go to that 200-day moving average, get rejected. Go to that, get rejected. Right now, you broke that. That's one. Two, you came back, you retested that level, and you're bouncing off. So if you know what I'm talking about, now watch this asset. Maybe next 2 months, maybe next 3 months. Right now, it's 0.24. Right now, it's $0.24. The highest which we can see here is $4.4, and the stable range is going to be $2. Even if you think about that, that's a 67x right now in that segment, right? And that's just one coin in the market. We are literally going through hundreds of coins through the Ask for TA session which we are running here, and we are understanding that there's a lot of assets which are showing way higher ROI structures, some of which most of us are interested in, would be the payment sector, which, competes in terms of XRP, XLM, that kind of thing. And then we come on to look at HBAR. Now I'm like, wow, this is the daily chart of HBAR. The all-time high is 0.57. Right now, you're 0.0645. So if you go on a weekly and you're looking at this, that's bullish for me. Meaning, you broke above the moving average zone, you came back, you got supported, you're bouncing back up. With the initial breakout, you got volume. And remember, that's a weekly chart showing you new level of volume, which was above the all-time highs. Wow. That means a lot of new people are interested in this particular asset. And one of the most biggest resistance, which would be here close to this moving average. Now, that's going to be the 100-day moving average. So you're going to say this range, the previous support, is going to act as a resistance. Great. Where is that? That's still at 3x above. So you literally are watching the market, the different segments, just about to start our next rally. So don't get confused saying this is an entire new bull market with 3 new macro waves. I really don't think so. In the structure, the pattern, what we can observe clearly is when you go on a macro, you can agree on one point for sure. That we are right now observing a market pattern which suggests to you we are going for a third wave. I don't know how many times I'm saying this, but I believe that's true, and that's the only reason why I'm repeating this thousands of times. Because if this is happening, you got wave 1, you got wave 2, now you corrected down and you're going to go higher for the wave 3. And within wave 3, now this is one thing we all have to keep in mind. Within that wave 3, you're going to see microwave structures. And if this is the first microwave, then most likely what's going to be the next 2 microwave structure. We plotted that before. And we did the same for a lot of different altcoins. And we were like, wow, some of these are going to blast 20, 30, 40x. So you do have a ton of opportunities in this market. Some of these are starting to run up, right? And you're observing this. Volume is going into some of those. They are popping. So if you are looking for something like that as the right information at the right time, you can look for the Patreon. The link is given in the description below, where we go through all of these different assets and give you the right idea so that you know what to expect in this market. And while you are looking at these things and looking at your portfolio, make sure you don't have 10 assets which is highly correlated. Now, crypto asset world is highly correlated, and especially with any panic, everything is 100% correlated. Doom. Everything comes down, right? But what we are talking about is in a bullish move. Right now, you don't see every different coin doing 30, 10, 12%. You see a lot of difference. That is what I'm talking about. If you have some which are doing 3%, some which are doing 10, some which are doing 8, some which are doing 30, that's great. That's the right area to be in, because we really don't know which segment is going to pop first. And once you observe, okay, I think this is going to pop, having that segment is going to be great. It can be smart contracts, it can be payments, it can be AI, it can be gaming. Who knows? You literally will have to go through that. And if you are like, okay, I don't have that much time, that's why I was suggesting you can look at the Patreon. That can help you in that regard. Now, coming back onto the fundamentals, the macro stuff, I would say like, okay, go through the market. It's completely information. Because right now what's happening in the world of finance is troubling. Because you see banking system at that verge of collapse. Credit series have been going down from how many years? 5 years, 6 years? And now it's at a record low. Whereas on the other aisle of this, the default swaps, it's kind of an insurance, right? Against those bonds. It's at our all-time highs. So that means there is something wrong. So while you look through, I'm like, okay, there is something really bullish. When this guy is saying, okay, sell Bitcoin, I think the market is going to drop. That's why he's saying to sell the Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, if that's the case, we are into the macro wave of impulse. We are about to burst through. Now, while we talk about that too, there's a daily chart of Bitcoin dominance. We'll have question like, okay, the MACD crossed to the upside, the RSI broke higher, all of that. But if you take another step back and zoom out, you're just breaking out from this range where you can go test 48. Now, the biggest question there would be, can Bitcoin hold off to that level and go towards creating a new local high? Or it's going to get rejected at this level. The way the RSI is moving, yeah, it definitely shows you more or less it's going to go to create a new high. That's going to be something we'll have to reevaluate, watch, monitor in this market. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.